So I've been a fan of the Levellers for nearly 35 years and I've seen them countless times live. They are a folk, rock, punk band from Brighton in England and they are my favourite band. So normally I'm here playing the mandolin, but today I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I'm going to review and rank all 11 studio albums by the Levellers. I won't be including any live albums or compilations or acoustic records, just going to concentrate on the 11 studio albums containing original material. So I've mentioned before about listening to music and going to concerts. It's the main way that I stay inspired to play the mandolin. And if there's one band that keeps me inspired, it's the Levellers. Now I know viewers of this channel like folk music, whether it's traditional or rocky or punk in nature, so I'm pretty confident that I'm not straying too far off topic here. For fans of the band, I'd love to hear what your favourite tracks are, what your favourite albums are, and what you think of my choices. And for viewers that are new to the band, give them a listen. Check out the top 3 songs that I'm recommending, the gold, silver and bronze, from each album, and let me know what you think. And if you can stick around to the end of the countdown, I'll reveal my top 3 Levellers tracks of all time. You may be surprised. So the band have released 11 studio albums and I'm now going to attempt to rank them. So let's head across to the countdown screen. In 11th place, it's the band's 8th album, Truth and Lies, that came out in 2005. I get the impression that a lot of Levellers fans might have this album at or near the bottom of the pile. It's not a bad album. In fact, it's got plenty of great songs on it, but the competition is very strong from the rest of the catalogue. The production makes a different listening experience to your average Levellers album. It feels overproduced in places, and the songwriting also lacks some of that usual cutting edge. But as I said, there are some great songs. My bronze goes to Confess, silver is For Us All, and my gold is Last Man Alive, which is a brash and an exciting opening track. In fact, the album has a strong start, it's just the ending that feels a bit weak. In 10th place, it's Hello Pig, the band's 6th and somewhat experimental album from the year 2000. Unlike every other Levellers album, Hello Pig gets off to a sluggish start in my opinion. The ending though is strong and it's got some brilliant songs on it. It sounds unlike every other album and for that reason alone it deserves a listen. But it perhaps shouldn't be the first album you listen to from the band. It's got 13 songs on it, the joint highest in their catalogue, and I just wonder if they'd trimmed it down by a song or two, it'd be a better album. As for my top 3, ironically, Gold and Silver, the final track, gets my bronze. Silver is 61 Minutes of Pleading, and Gold is Edge of the World. In 9th place, it's Static on the Airwaves, which came out in 2012. It was the band's 10th studio album and for me starts with incredible promise. It's a great album title for a start and the first couple of songs are up there with some of the best the band has done. Really strong lyrics and explosive and vibrant melodies. It's unusual that Simon takes the lead vocal on the main opening track. The rest of the album is pretty solid with some great tracks, but it just doesn't reach the heights of the opening 2 tracks. My top 3, bronze goes to Alone in This Darkness, it's another Simon Friend number. Silver is Truth Is, and gold is We Are All Gunmen. My first mandolin shout out is for the Recruiting Sergeant. The band have reworked a traditional tune with some cutting contemporary lyrics. Great track to play along with. We'll hopefully do a separate video on this at some point. Now it gets really tricky from here on in. I suspect if you asked any random Levellers fan, you'd get a different top 8. Such is the consistent quality from here on in. The next three especially could easily have been in a different order. In 8th place is Mouth to Mouth. I really love this album, and yet it's only 8th in my list. Mouth to Mouth came out in 1997, whilst they were probably at the peak of their commercial success. Beautiful Day dominates the album in the sense that it's their most well-known and commercially successful song. It's also a live favourite, which reminds me to mention the fact that clearly the band can record amazing records, but live is the essence of the band. The energy, passion, musicianship, and community is the best I've ever experienced. The album is packed full of great songs. Don't let the fact that it sits 8th in my list put you off. The weakest song is possibly the opening track, but still listen to the whole lot. My top 3: Bronze is Survivors. If they'd gone with the dual vocal version on the album, it would have taken the gold. You can find that version on one of the B-sides to the Celebrate singles. Silver is Beautiful Day, and gold is Far Away. In 7th place is Green Blade Rising. Borrowing a title from one of the band's earliest demo recordings, this album was released in 2002. The opening 8 tracks are all superb. It's a really enjoyable listen, including a couple of radio-friendly songs, Pretty Target and Wildest Angels, and it's got another wonderful Simon Friend vocal in Believers. My top 3: Bronze goes to Pretty Target, Silver is the excellent Four Winds, one of my favourite Levellers opening tracks, and gold on Green Blade Rising is Aspects of Spirit. It's possibly my favourite vocal by Mark and a glorious fiddle line by John. It feels like the album tails off a bit towards the end with a couple of slightly weaker songs, although I really like the closing track, Wake the World. In 6th place, it's A Weapon Called the Word. It's their debut album, and what a statement of intent. And it's one, to be fair, that they've honoured and haven't strayed from in over 35 years. It came out in 1990, and the message and sound of the album was so different from so much that was mainstream in British music back then. But then, when have the Levellers ever been mainstream? They've never strived for the mainstream. It was only the success of their subsequent albums that put them there. Appearances on Top of the Pops and headlining Glastonbury, but their sound and message always meant that they were destined for the fringes, a place where they were more comfortable, perhaps, and thrived. For us mandolin players, it's one of the 2 go-to albums for inspiration and play-along ability. It's got a great folk element to it, but there's a real rocky edge to it as well. As opening tracks go, World Freak Show is a classic. It's got a brilliant riff and overloaded with a fiery political message, and it's a perfect introductory song for the band. And the closing track, What You Know, is a superb and lively song. It's got an awesome arrangement and a real crowd pleaser. It's often the final song on their set lists, and they still play it with the same energy and fervour over 35 years later. From a top 3, Together All the Way is my bronze choice. Silver is What You Know, and gold goes to World Freak Show. In 5th place, it's the band's 4th album, released in 1995, Zeitgeist. It was possibly their most eagerly anticipated commercial album. They were riding on a wave following their headline appearances at Glastonbury, and the album didn't disappoint. Well, it probably disappointed the music press, but it was always going to. They had long decided that the band had had their day in the sun. But did the fans care? Not a jot. It was a fantastic time to be a Levellers fan. The gigs came thick and fast, and the band were still relentlessly touring. It's the longest album in their catalogue with 13 songs, and I reckon if they had trimmed it back to maybe 11 or 12 tracks, it'd be right up there contending for their best album. Also, there's a track on it called Haven't Made It, and they played a version of it at Glastonbury the year before, and it's a cracker. It's lively, fast, and a future anthem in my opinion. But the version on the album is more like a folk ballad. It's a lovely song still, but I just wonder why they didn't pursue a version like the one that they aired at Glastonbury. All in all, it's a superb album. Check out these top 3 tracks. Bronze is Hope Street, Silver is Forgotten Ground, and Gold, Leave This Town. In 4th place, it's the band's self-titled 3rd album that came out in 1993. It's their shortest album with only 10 songs, and as a result, there's not a single weak track, but equally, it's the one album where I've kind of struggled the most to highlight my top 3. If I was to do this exercise again, I'd probably shortlist a different 3 songs, and that's possibly why it doesn't rank further up my list. I've also heard, in my opinion, better versions of the songs either live or in demo form. So production-wise, it might not be as strong compared to other albums. Live versions of The Player or Belarus, for example, are worth checking out, as is an early demo version of Warning. The rawness and urgency in the demo is brilliant, especially using some audio from the 1976 film The Network, where the anchorman Howard Beale is declaring that he is mad as hell. They used to use that audio as the opener to their gigs, and it was so rousing and it got the crowd well and truly pumped up. Anyway, here's my top 3 tracks from the Levellers album. Bronze is Belarus, Silver is 100 Years of Solitude, and Gold is Julie. In 3rd place, it's Peace. It's their 11th and last studio album that came out during the infamous lockdown year of 2020. To me, it feels like a bittersweet album. On the one hand, it's a superb album, easily one of the band's best albums, packed full of classic Levellers moments, cracking tunes, backdropping trademark social and political commentary. It's incredible, over 30 years on from their debut album, they can still produce such a work of art with the same energy and freshness as Weapon Called the Word. On the other hand, it feels like a pivotal moment for the band. For a start, they never got a proper chance to tour the album. Quite a few songs didn't get the public airing as they deserved. And by the time we came out of lockdown, Simon Friend had essentially left the band. Officially, he's still part of the band, and the band have a superb new addition in Dan Donnelly, who plays mandolin and electric guitar. Don't get me wrong, Dan is great and will no doubt go on to be an invaluable leveller. He's also ably performing many of the songs that Simon wrote and sang. But having been in the band since album 2 and penning so many of the band's classics, I'm sure fans would love to see Simon back on stage with the band again, even if it's just one reunion tour. Come on lads, make it happen. Back to the album, my top 3. Bronze is Our Future, Silver is Four Boys Lost, and Gold is Albion and Phoenix, another classic duo vocal song of Mark and Simon. In 2nd place, it's Letters from the Underground. The Levellers' 9th studio album came out in 2008. It was 3 years after Truth and Lies, and it was a triumphant return to form. The opening track, Colour a Well, signals their intent from the word go. Written in 2008, it sounds even more relevant today. Not for the first time, the Levellers' lyrics are borderline prophecy. With fiery lyrics, a trademark fiddle hook drives it along. A Levellers' anthem and still a live favourite today. And yet, it doesn't feature in my top 3. Tracks 2 to 4 on the album are good songs, but for me, the album really takes off again from track 5. And every track thereafter is a belter. It's possibly the longest run of outstanding songs the band have catalogued together, with one exception of course, which we'll come to soon enough. My only gripe is that apart from Cholera Well, we hardly ever hear any of this album live. Perhaps the band don't rate it as much as I do. Perhaps the songs don't translate as well live. I look forward to 2028 or 2038 if they decide to do an anniversary tour of this album. My top 3: Bronze is Fight or Flight, Silver is A Life Less Ordinary, and Gold is Accidental Anarchist, one of my favourite Leveller songs of all time. And in first place, it's Levelling the Land. Wow, what an album. It's a classic and the band's masterpiece. Released in 1991 and the band's second album, and arguably they've been striving to match the consistent quality of this album ever since. They got close many times in my opinion. Zeitgeist, Letters from the Underground, and most recently Peace. But what's particularly special about Levelling the Land is the relentless quality. Every song is a classic, a long-term live favourite, a special, special album. I'd be surprised if there were too many fans of the band that wouldn't put this album at the top of the pile, but I may be wrong. Let me know in the comments below. Sometimes you get an album that means more to you than just the music itself. For me, Levelling the Land is that album. Without wanting to sound too dramatic, it was life-changing. I'd always liked folky music before I heard the Levellers, but up to the age of 13, 14, I was only really into pop music, Erasure, Depeche Mode, Kylie Minogue. But from the moment my brother got me to listen to Far From Home from the album, I was hooked, and I have been ever since. I devoured that album, played it constantly for about 2 years until their third album came out, and my outlook on music, life, politics changed during that time, mostly due to Levelling the Land. As I said, a special, special album. Every track is a gem, but if I had to pull out my top 3, it would be Bronze, One Way, Silver, The Road, and Gold, Far From Home. So thanks very much for sticking with the video to this point. For fans of the band, I'd love to hear what your list is. For newcomers to the band, hopefully I've given you a starting point to an incredible band of musicians. Now, as I said earlier, I'd reveal my top 3 Leveller songs. Here are the top songs from each of the 11 Levellers albums. And you may be surprised that despite it being my favourite album, Levelling the Land does not feature in my top 3 Leveller songs of all time. If I was devising a live set list, it'd be rammed with tracks from Levelling the Land. But as far as studio recordings go, here's my top 3. In third place, Bronze, it's Aspects of Spirit. Second, Silver, goes to Albion and Phoenix. And as for my Gold, and my favourite Leveller song of all time, it's Accidental Anarchist. It's got all the components of a cracking Leveller song. Punchy lyrics, a glorious fiddle driving the track along, a brilliant vocal by Mark. A dual vocal with Simon would have been the cherry on the cake. And it's got a brilliant middle eight. The Levellers have got so many great middle eights. An underused and undervalued part of songwriting, in my opinion. But the band have written countless of them in their career. I'm going to finish off by pulling out a line from Accidental Anarchist. If you fall, I'll pick you up, and then we'll go again. The Levellers have been picking me up for over 30 years. God bless them.